B&B spoilers, Taylor betrays Sheila, puts life in danger. The bold and the beautiful spoilers reveal that Taylor Hayes will betray Sheila Sharp, Kimberlyn Brown, and likely put her life in danger. What will Taylor do to betray Sheila, causing her to come after her again? Sheila Carter is giving Taylor Hayes too much credit. Sheila believes that Taylor has saved her marriage and her life with Deacon Sharp, Sean Cannon. Sheila truly believes that Taylor has been trying to convince Deacon to give their marriage another chance. Unfortunately, Taylor has not done anything of the sort. Taylor is only pushing Deacon away because of their feelings for each other. It has nothing to do with Sheila. Sheila is not going to be happy when she learns that Taylor has fallen for Deacon herself. Sheila is going to end up feeling like fool when she learns that Taylor wanted to be with Deacon but had to make sure he was over her first. Will Sheila break in and read Deacon's files and learn the truth of their meetings? Taylor Hayes tells Sheila Sharp they cannot be friends. Sheila will go to Taylor's office again and explains they cannot be friends because she is Deacon's doctor. Taylor would be violating patient information confidentiality. Sheila may be married to Deacon, but that does not give her access to his private medical records. Taylor will refuse to share information and will also refuse to be her friend. Sheila will be badly upset over Taylor's decision and cause a lot more drama over her actions. Will Taylor manage to survive? Sheila has already threatened to kill Taylor if she crosses that line. Who will make the first move to make their relationship more intimate? Will Sheila stalk Taylor and Deacon to catch them in the act? Taylor Hayes and Deacon Sharp are destined to hit the sheets. Bold writers have been working on this relationship for well over a year now. Taylor and Deacon are destined to cross the line between doctor and patient. Deacon and Taylor have gotten very close to crossing the line more than once. Of course, this could point to a breakup between Deacon and Sheila. Will Deacon still be with Sheila when he and give in to the passion that has been building for months now? Sheila is certainly going to keep an eye on them and will likely see when Deacon and Sheila decide to stop fighting their feelings. However, Sheila will see this as the ultimate betrayal and could come after Taylor and Deacon both. The news sweeping through the mansions and offices of Los Angeles is a somber one, chilling the air with a sense of dread. Dr. Taylor Hayes has decisively betrayed Sheila Carter, an act that has immediately and dramatically put the respected psychiatrist's life in grave danger. This is not a petty squabble over a man or a design house. This is a calculated severance of a toxic bond, a move that pushes the infamous villainess, Sheila, back to her most desperate and murderous instincts. The fallout from this single, fateful decision is set to redefine the next chapter of The Bold and the Beautiful. The Unraveling, a triangle of tensions. The relationship between Taylor and Sheila, bizarrely, had moments of fragile camaraderie, but all of that was built on a foundation of shifting sand. The tension finally reached a catastrophic breaking point, centered around the one man keeping Sheila tethered to a semblance of normalcy, Deacon Sharp. Deacon, reeling from the ultimate betrayal of his wife, Sheila, who concealed the fact that her granddaughter, Luna Nozawa, was still alive and responsible for immense chaos, sought professional help. He walked into the office of Dr. Taylor Hayes, his daughter Hope's mother-in-law, and a woman who had a decades-long, adversarial history with his wife. The situation was a massive, flashing red conflict of interest from the start. Deacon's vulnerability: he was a man searching for an anchor, stripped of trust and burdened by the knowledge of Sheila's continued capacity for deception. Taylor, the compassionate, renowned psychiatrist, offered him a non-judgmental space. The forbidden connection: as Deacon confided in Taylor, their professional sessions began to blur. He started to see the beautiful, caring woman beneath the therapist's facade. He complimented her, flirted subtly, and eventually, their sessions ended with a comforting hug. Sheila's paranoia: this is where the danger began to escalate. Sheila, whose entire life has been a cycle of obsession and violence, witnessed that simple, intimate embrace. To her, it wasn't professional comfort, it was a clear sign that Taylor was maneuvering to steal her husband. Her deepest fear, losing the one man who saw her as something more than a monster, was being realized. The ultimate betrayal: a door slammed shut. The betrayal wasn't about Taylor and Deacon starting a clandestine affair, it was about Taylor finally, publicly, and definitively rejecting Sheila as an ally, a friend, or even an acquaintance. The final, fatal confrontation came amid the preparations for Hope Logan and Liam Spencer's wedding. Sheila, desperate to feel included, was determined to crash the event. Taylor, a mother who has consistently fought to protect her family from Sheila's destructive wake, saw this as the line in the sand. "We can't be friends, Sheila," Taylor stated with unwavering resolve, a clear rejection that echoed the end of any potential truce. "You are Deacon's patient's wife, and my family is still healing from your past. Stay away from that wedding. Stay away from Deacon. Stay away from my life." This was Taylor's act of betrayal. She wasn't just warning Sheila, she was destroying the carefully constructed delusion that Sheila was a reformed woman worthy of a normal life. She was essentially saying, "You are still the monster, and I will not let you corrupt the lives of those I care about." The deadly consequence, life in peril. A rejection from Taylor Hayes is not the same as a confrontation with Brooke Logan. Brooke is Sheila's eternal rival, but Taylor is a woman with a shared history of trauma, having been shot by Sheila herself in the past. To Sheila, Taylor was supposed to be a kindred spirit, a fellow doctor, a mother, and briefly, a non-judgmental ear. Taylor's final, cold withdrawal of support, of any connection, has pushed Sheila into the red zone of no return. The warning signs are already horrifyingly clear. The murderous vow, Sheila has explicitly, chillingly confessed to Lee Finnegan that if Deacon were to cheat on her with Taylor, she would kill her. This is not an idle threat. Sheila's history is a blood-soaked tapestry of violence, including shooting Taylor and her daughter, Steffi, and faking her own death in a brutal scheme. Jealousy's catalyst, the emerging bond between Deacon and Taylor, even if currently professional, is a direct threat to Sheila's marriage and her identity. Losing Deacon means losing her fragile grasp on sanity and freedom. Jealousy is Sheila's most potent, deadly fuel. The good doctor target, Taylor's status as a respected figure and a psychiatrist makes her an even more tempting target for Sheila to destroy. Tearing down Taylor's professional life, through slander or a fabricated ethics violation, is just one stop before a violent, permanent solution. Lee Finnegan, seeing the dangerous spiral, might even report Taylor to protect her from Sheila's wrath, a desperate attempt to break up the pair without triggering Sheila's homicidal rage. Words of dread, the road ahead. The air is thick with the promise of violence. Taylor's betrayal, born of a need to protect her own family and uphold her professional ethics, has signed an invisible death warrant. We are left to wonder. Will the professional relationship turn romantic? If Taylor and Deacon succumb to their growing chemistry, it will immediately trigger the threat Sheila has promised to enact. Will Sheila try to frame Taylor? A woman as manipulative as Sheila doesn't always go for the immediate gunshot. She might seek to destroy Taylor's reputation, plunging her into a professional scandal that leaves her career in ruins. Will Taylor's family intervene? Steffi and Finn, having been shot by Sheila, will undoubtedly be on high alert. Will they be able to protect Taylor before Sheila can strike? This storyline is a classic, high-stakes collision of good and evil. Taylor, the loving, dedicated professional, is now standing directly in the path of Sheila Carter, a woman who has nothing left to lose. The betrayal has been delivered, the line crossed, and now, the entire Forrester, Logan, and Spencer world waits, breathless, for the inevitable, terrifying cost of Taylor's honesty. Taylor Hayes has put her life in danger, and the only question now is who will pay the ultimate price. In the twisted, gilded cage of Los Angeles high society, where the drama of the bold and the beautiful unfurls daily, a profoundly sad truth is emerging from the dark corners of the latest triangle. Sheila Carter is giving Taylor Hayes far too much credit. This isn't the kind of credit given for a successful medical career or for being the long-suffering matriarch of the Forrester family. This is a lethal kind of credit, an assumption of malignant intent that threatens to shatter the fragile peace Sheila has fought so desperately to maintain with Deacon Sharp. And for those watching this slow-motion train wreck, the tragedy lies in the profound misunderstanding that could cost an innocent woman her life. The new volatility, Deacon, Taylor, and Sheila's fragile alliance. The core of this impending disaster is Deacon Sharp's genuine, if ill-advised, search for stability. Tormented by his guilt over Sheila's past actions, specifically her recent involvement in a situation concerning Luna, his daughter, Deacon sought the professional guidance of Dr. Taylor Hayes. In the hallowed, yet often dramatic, halls of therapy, a professional relationship began to deepen. Taylor, known for her empathetic nature, offered Deacon a calm harbor from the storm that is life with Sheila Carter. They shared emotional exchanges, and in a moment that Sheila, lurking in the shadows, tragically misread, they shared a simple, comforting embrace. To Deacon, Taylor is a lifeline, a psychiatrist helping him navigate the complex, dangerous waters of his marriage. To Taylor, Deacon is a patient in need of boundaries and professional distance, though the show hints at an undeniable, if perhaps one-sided, attraction. But to Sheila, watching from the doorway with the familiar, hungry glint in her eyes, Taylor is no doctor. She is a rival. The fatal flaw in Sheila's logic. Sheila Carter's history is a tapestry woven with obsession, violence, and a desperate, toxic need to belong. Every conflict she has ever faced has been framed by a rival she needed to eliminate, a Brooke, a Lauren, a Steffi. Her worldview is a simple, terrifying equation: if you are near my husband, you want my husband. This is where the sadness of the current storyline truly hits home. Sheila, the master manipulator, the queen of schemes, is making a colossal error in judgment by projecting her own darkest motives onto Taylor Hayes. Sheila's fatal assumptions. Taylor is a scheming homewrecker. Sheila believes Taylor, fueled by either a sudden attraction to Deacon or a long-simmering desire for revenge against the woman who shot her, in a prior, unrelated incident that remains a secret, is actively plotting to steal Deacon. Taylor is a threat to her marriage. Sheila sees the professional counseling, the shared history, and the emotional connection as a calculated move to dismantle her fragile union with Deacon, echoing the rivalry she has had with Brooke for decades. Taylor is not a professional. Sheila cannot fathom that Taylor is upholding her professional code, warning Sheila against crashing Hope and Liam's wedding and clarifying that they cannot be friends because she is Deacon's therapist. To Sheila, this is not a boundary, it is a declaration of war. In reality, Taylor Hayes, though complex, is currently the only person urging Deacon to find peace and, by extension, stability in his life. Her professional boundaries are not a ploy, they are a desperate attempt to avoid the very rivalry Sheila is determined to create. The sad news: an innocent woman's doom. The sad news in this high-stakes soap opera is not that Sheila is plotting, that is her default setting. The tragedy is that her plotting is based on a lie, a poisonous belief that Taylor is as inherently malicious as she is. Sheila's threats are chillingly clear. She recently made a murderous threat against Taylor to Lee Finnegan, making it unequivocal what will happen if Deacon cheats with the doctor. This is not a figure of speech, this is the grim reality of a woman who has killed before and nearly killed her own son, Finn, in a bid to stop Steffi. The emotional connection Deacon and Taylor share, which is currently a mixture of patient-therapist bond and a budding, mutual respect, is being grossly overinterpreted by Sheila's paranoid mind. Deacon's flirtations, which are selfish and driven by a man seeking control in a life that has spun out of his grasp, are being mistaken for a mutual, passionate affair. The irony is heartbreaking. Taylor is trying to help Deacon forgive and find stability within his marriage to Sheila, yet Sheila is convinced Taylor is trying to end it. By giving Taylor credit for a scheme she isn't running, Sheila is ironically setting the stage for the destruction she fears most. The inevitable collision: what comes next? All signs point to an inevitable, violent confrontation. As Deacon continues to seek Taylor's counsel, and as Taylor struggles to maintain professional boundaries in the face of Sheila's escalating paranoia, the fuse is lit. The blackmail tactic: in previous confrontations, Taylor has stood up to Sheila, even when blackmailed. She has always been willing to risk her own freedom to see the monster behind bars. But that was before Taylor's current, more complex situation with Deacon. The wedding snub: Deacon's refusal to allow Sheila at Hope and Liam's wedding has sent Sheila into a rage, leading her straight to Taylor's office for a volatile confrontation. This is the match striking the tinder. Sheila, furious at being denied access to her family, will surely blame Taylor for the continuing social isolation. The professional threat: the fear is that Sheila, unable to defeat Taylor by normal means, may resort to underhanded tactics to ruin her career, perhaps by manipulating her confidant, Lee, into reporting Taylor to the medical board for perceived inappropriate behavior with a patient. This storyline is deeply sad because it's a story of toxic self-fulfilling prophecy. Sheila's fear of abandonment and her inability to trust anyone, including the man who married her and the doctor trying to help him, is leading her to target an innocent. By giving Taylor Hayes the credit for being a diabolical rival worthy of her own dark schemes. Dr. Taylor Hayes' pristine, sunlit office felt suddenly thick, heavy with the weight of years and the crushing reality of an impossible choice. Outside, the familiar buzz of Los Angeles life continued, oblivious to the quiet, devastating scene unfolding within. Taylor Hayes, the world-renowned psychiatrist, sat across from the woman who had somehow, impossibly, become a fixture in her life, Sheila Sharp, née Carter. This was not a social call. This was the reckoning. Taylor, her posture a little too rigid, her sapphire eyes holding a mixture of professional resolve and personal sorrow, began, her voice low but firm. "Sheila, we need to talk about Deacon." Sheila, who had been leaning forward, her expression a careful mask of penitent sincerity, bristled at the mention of her husband, Deacon Sharp. "Of course, Taylor. I know how much you're helping him. He respects you, and I appreciate you being there for him during this difficult time. It shows me you truly believe in second chances, even with my history." The use of my history, a euphemism for decades of psychological torment, kidnappings, and the attempted murder of Taylor herself, was a chilling reminder of the chasm between them. For a brief, intoxicating period, after Sheila had returned to town and seemed determined to finally turn a new leaf, Taylor had extended a tentative hand of friendship. It was an act of profound, almost reckless, faith, a psychiatrist's ultimate belief in redemption, and perhaps, a personal need for peace. That friendship was now the sharp, sad point of Taylor's agony. "It's about more than just Deacon, Sheila," Taylor continued, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "It's about the boundaries. It's about what I am to Deacon, and what I must be to everyone else. He is my patient." A shadow crossed Sheila's face, a fleeting glimpse of the dangerous instability that always lurked beneath her controlled exterior. "And I am your friend. What's the problem? You're giving my husband the help he needs to save our marriage. It's perfect." Taylor took a slow, deep breath, preparing to deliver the blow she knew would shatter any hope of peaceful coexistence. "It is the opposite of perfect, Sheila. It is a profound, professional conflict of interest. I have been counseling Deacon through his deep emotional distress that often centers on his marriage, on your secrets, and on the ethical tightrope he feels he is walking." She leaned forward, her eyes never leaving Sheila's. "I cannot be his friend, his therapist, and your friend simultaneously. It contaminates every interaction. It compromises my ability to be an objective, ethical psychiatrist. I cannot counsel Deacon while having a personal, friendly relationship with the woman he is seeking help about." The word friend hung in the air, a broken promise. "And you know what the real, sad news is, Sheila? It's not just the ethical dilemma. It's the constant, gnawing awareness of your past. When you talk about saving your marriage, I hear a patient's husband, desperate for a stable life. But when you look at me, with that look of, I want to believe, genuine connection, I see the woman who once shot me." Sheila's composure finally cracked. "Taylor, that was a lifetime ago. We've moved past that. You forgave me." Her voice rose, tinged with a desperate, almost childlike plea. "You were the only one. You and Deacon. Don't take this away from me." "I forgave you for my own peace," Taylor corrected gently, her heart aching for the woman, despite everything. "I believe in your capacity for change, Sheila. I truly do. But my belief cannot be an enabling factor in a potentially dangerous dynamic. My first duty is to my patients, to my children, and to the safety of my family." She knew the timing of this conversation, right on the cusp of Hope Logan and Liam Spencer's wedding, was volatile. Sheila had already been warned against attending, and Taylor's firm stance was also a quiet, desperate move to ensure the peace and safety of the Forrester and Logan families. "You're choosing them," Sheila whispered, the penitent mask falling away completely, revealing a wounded, incandescent fury. "You're choosing Steffi's paranoia and Ridge's distrust over the one genuine bond we had. I am choosing my integrity, Sheila, Taylor insisted. I can't be an honest, effective therapist for Deacon if I'm having lunch with his wife, who is a central issue in his therapy. It's not a rejection of your person, it's a necessary professional boundary. The confrontation intensified. Taylor had made her professional case, but the personal loss was profound. She had truly hoped that Sheila could be rehabilitated, that her own role as a psychiatrist could finally bring a true villain back to the light. This shattering moment proved that hope was a luxury she could no longer afford. This is devastating, Taylor, Sheila said, her voice now dangerously soft, her eyes gleaming with unshed tears that held more threat than pain. You are isolating me. You are pushing me back to where I was. You are robbing me of a real friend. No, Taylor countered, rising slowly from her chair, her professional height adding a layer of finality to her words. You are confusing a therapist's empathy with a friend's unconditional loyalty. I am ending the pretense of friendship so I can maintain my professional duty to help your husband find stability. If you truly love Deacon, you will respect that boundary. You will understand that this separation is the only way I can continue to work with him ethically. She walked to her office door and opened it, a clear invitation for Sheila to leave. We cannot be friends, Sheila. Not now. Not while I am Deacon's therapist. And maybe not ever. I need to be absolutely clear, if you try to interfere with Deacon's therapy, if you cross the lines of my professional life, I will not hesitate to protect my patient and my family. Sheila rose, a statue of wounded pride and barely contained rage. She walked past Taylor, her gaze fixed on the doorway, but paused on the threshold. She didn't look back. You'll regret this, Taylor, she said, her voice barely audible, yet vibrating with a menace that Taylor knew all too well. You're making an enemy where you had a confidant. And with that, Sheila Sharp was gone, leaving Taylor alone in the quiet office. The sunlit room suddenly felt cold. Taylor closed the door and leaned her head against the cool wood, a wave of exhaustion washing over her. The sacrifice of that fragile, dangerous bond was complete. It was a day of sad news, a heartbreaking acknowledgement that some people, and some relationships, are simply too toxic to touch. Taylor had protected her professional integrity, and perhaps, her life, but the cost was a deep, solitary sadness for the redemptive path she had desperately wished for Sheila to walk. The line had been drawn, sharp and final, leaving both women on opposite sides of a new, high-stakes conflict. The Forrester and Logan world might be safe for now, but Taylor knew, with a certainty that chilled her to the bone, that the true drama had just begun.